Coming up on WUFT Midday, what the president said the nation is doing to support communities impacted by hurricanes Helene and Milton, including our community. Plus, a look at the damage left after tornadoes ravaged across South Florida. And Levy and Citrus County residents are under a flood warning that includes a local river that is rising. All this plus local relief efforts. WUFT Midday starts now.
You're watching WUFT Midday.
Our nation's president toured some of the hardest hit areas in our state this weekend. He announced several hundreds of millions of dollars will go towards a local regional utility service here in Alachua County. This is WUFT Midday. I'm Emma Pastis. Thanks for joining us. He surveyed the battered coastline from the sky and toured St. Petersburg Beach, which is left in shambles. He promised more than $600 million to restore and upgrade the grid after hurricanes Helene and Milton hammered the region. The number of homes and businesses in Florida still without power dropped to about 400,000 today, according to poweroutage.us. That's down from more than 3 million after Hurricane Milton made landfall on Wednesday.
Today, I'm proud to announce $612 million to 6 new cutting-edge projects to support communities impacted by Hurricane Helene and Milton. That includes $47 million for Gainesville Regional Utilities and another $47 million for Florida Power and Light.
He said this funding will not only restore power, but make the region's power system stronger for the next time a storm hits. He said it may reduce the frequency and duration of power outages while extreme weather events become more frequent. It's been nearly a week since Hurricane Milton swept through Florida's Gulf Coast and left unimaginable damage. One homeowner in Okeechobee is recounting what happened when Milton literally tore his home off of its foundation. Katie Benty spoke with a homeowner and has more.
Okeechobee resident Mike Kalin says he was taken by surprise with shutters tightly fastened, but he didn't need to see it to know it was a twister.
I held on to the front door, it was going to blow in. I'm not even kidding, it was breathing like a heart.
Mike and his wife Elizabeth moved to Dixie Ranch Acres 2 years ago, hoping to build their forever home.
This here used to be a really nice lanai. Had a covered roof to here, and then it was screened from here all the way out.
Now their little sanctuary is ripped apart, crumbled up, and thrown around. What is all the metal back there?
That metal was my carport.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
The tornado's wrath is visible as you drive through the neighborhood and along Highway 98. Construction trucks turned on their sides and what seems to be an entire home leveled just outside a milk farm. And just a mile south, neighbors tell us a retired couple is fighting for their lives tonight. Their mobile home was ripped up from the ground and thrown 150 feet away with them inside. Emergency officials say the wife was found trapped under the washing machine, while her husband was discovered another 20 feet away.
Once we seen that thing, we thought them people would be dead, and they were not. They survived that, and it's a miracle. God had a hand in some of this. There's no doubt about it.
The close call is a reminder of what matters most, inspiring Mike and others to keep pushing forward.
It's what we're going to do. We're going to try to get it all back together, and we're not going to quit. I'm not a quitter, never been a quitter, and I ain't going to quit now.
The Withlacoochee River is rising in Pasco County, where some homes and vehicles are already submerged in water. Officials from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission took reporter Nicole Rogers on a high water vehicle to see some of the hardest hit areas.
Right now, we're in the Riverdale community here in Pasco County, and I mean, just take a look at the devastation as the water continues to rise. Where we are right now, near Ridge Manor, the Southwest Florida Water Management District says the Withlacoochee River has risen over 6 feet since Hurricane Milton and is expected to continue rising for at least another week. SwiftMud officials say flooding in this area is projected to be the highest they've seen since 1960. So we have Matt with FWC here. Tell me, what are you guys out here doing today?
Yeah, so really it's the whole range of the public safety mission, from anything from 911 calls if they were to come available, offering people assistance to get out of their homes, and even all the way through to a looting patrol. We're not going to allow people to victimize people who've already been victimized by a storm. Really anything that falls within the public safety scope, we're out here for.
Over the past couple of days, you have been out. I've seen you in the past couple of days. Tell me, what have you been doing really even a couple of days ago?
Again, we've worked the range of things with this storm. This storm brought so much storm surge, so much now river flooding, lots of wind damage. We've worked every mission in almost every platform that we have to offer. In this case, we're in a swamp buggy. Our officers have been on shallow draft boats, they've been on airboats, they've been in their trucks. Everything that we have, our aviation assets have all been deployed. Every piece of equipment we have has been here to help in the storm and help the residents of the state with anything they're suffering as a result of this storm.
And I know you do a lot of proactive things, and you go and talk with some of these people and say, hey, you need to get out now. Have you seen that people will want to stay in their homes and then call you later saying, never mind?
There's always going to be things that change, and sometimes people do want to stay, and we understand that. It's a difficult decision for someone to want to leave their home. That's why we're out here. We always want to make sure that people know they have the option to leave, even if their home isn't fully flooded. A lot of times having no power, having no water, that can really grate on people and make things difficult. As medicine starts to run low or whatever may change, we understand that may change for them as well. And we're here to offer that evacuation service for them. Even if their house isn't completely flooded, the road may be too deep for their car to pass that through, and we're going to make sure they can get to somewhere safe.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll continue to keep you up to date on everything going on here in Pasco County. For now, in Ridge Manor, Nicole Rogers, 8 on your side.
After two storms, one after the other, several North Central Florida neighbors are banding together to send relief out where it's needed most. United Way of North Central Florida is one organization raising money for Florida communities most impacted by Hurricanes Milton and Helene. You can donate to multiple communities, or you can designate your donation to a specific location or county. Second Harvest Food Bank is also providing disaster meals to people in 7 North Central Florida counties, including Marion County. The organization has several food banks in our area, including the ones listed on your screen. If you are a UF student or employee, you can visit Ada Gator on the HR website to apply for a grant. Today, the city of Gainesville is celebrating those who first inhabited the land. The city is working with the Indigenous Peoples Task Force to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day tonight. Mayor Harvey Ward will be there to recognize tribes that have contributed to Gainesville's history, like the Patano and the Timucua tribes. The free celebration is from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at City Hall Plaza. Ceremonial leaders request that you ask before taking photos or videos of anyone at the event. In other news, a man is dead after a crash in the Ocala National Forest. It happened around 11 a.m. Sunday. A 59-year-old biker was heading north on a dirt road before he struck 2 trees. He was thrown from his dirt bike, and it's unclear whether he was wearing a helmet. He was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead there. The crash is being investigated by FHP troopers. Now let's check on the traffic, taking a look at I-75 in Marion County. We saw a lot of congestion this weekend on I-75 as evacuees continued to return home to South Florida. But now on I-75, traffic looks pretty clear, and it looks like quite a beautiful day out today. Let's toss it over to UF forecaster Nicole Borman for a look at this week's weather.
If you took a step outside this morning, you could have been feeling a little bit of that cooler air. That's because the lows today all over North Central Florida have been in those mid to upper 50s, which is a nice change to our week. You could be feeling a little bit more of this later on in the week with really no rain in the near future. And after 2 major hurricanes, we're feeling a little bit quietness going on in the tropics right now. But if you took a look outside right now, we're seeing some really nice weather. No clouds in the sky over Century Tower or over the stadium. Temperatures right now sitting in those upper 70s, 79 right now, feeling like 81, and just a light breeze all over the area. But the temperatures all over North Central Florida are pretty much feeling like this. We're seeing those low 80s and upper 70s all over, with a little bit higher right here in the coast, but really scattered all over the top of the state. But it's going to be getting a bit warmer this afternoon, which we might not be seeing the rest of this week. We're seeing those mid to upper 80s all over North Central Florida. A little bit cooler over here on the west coast with that 81, 83 over Cedar Key and Crystal River. But you should be expecting it a lot warmer all over the rest of the state for right now. But that cold front is going to be passing through for the rest of the week. We're seeing that cold front right here being tracked over on Wednesday afternoon to pass over Florida, giving us that cooler air, that drier air, and giving us a nice fall feeling finally over here in Florida. We're going to be seeing that all over for the rest of the day. Actually, we're going to be seeing a dip in that temperature. We're seeing those lower 80s in the afternoon, and then continuing to dip into our night in those upper 60s. But with that cool air, I said there is going to be some drier air in Florida. We're used to that humid weather, which we could be seeing a little bit of today and tomorrow. But on Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to be seeing a bit of that drier, more thinner air all over. But for your homecoming weekend and for your football Saturday, we're going to be seeing some pretty nice weather. So get your gator gear and head outside. We're going to be seeing those low 80s and upper 70s all over for Saturday and for Sunday, which could be pretty nice. And even though we have been having some big storms happening in the past few weeks, we're going to be seeing a bit of a pause in that, with that tropics are seeing them a little bit calm right now. We're not really seeing any major developments that could be affecting us. So it's a nice break from all those hurricanes that we've been affecting. Now for your 7-day outlook, we're seeing those temperatures right now sitting in those low 80s, but could be dipping drastically on Wednesday to those really low 70s, but then continue to staggeringly get a little bit warmer to give you that nice fall vibe for the rest of your week and your weekend.
As early as this afternoon, NASA says it could launch the largest spacecraft it's ever built for a planetary mission. It's called the Europa Clipper. A SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket is set to give it a lift from Kennedy Space Center. The Europa Clipper is named after its destination, an icy Jupiter moon. Scientists think the moon Europa is one of the best bets in the solar system for sustaining life. Under its surface, they believe it has an ocean, with tides from Jupiter's gravity that produce heat. NASA says the Europa Clipper carries 9 instruments for testing those conditions, along with a gravity experiment. But don't expect that data for years. The journey between Earth and Europa spans about 1.8 billion miles. Now let's get over to WUFT First at 5 anchor Natasha Holt with a look at what's coming up tonight on First at 5 on Channel 5.
Thanks, Emma. Our team is working to bring you stories from across North Central Florida. Officials are warning about a gas leak in Waldo. We'll bring you more details tonight. Also, hurricane cleanup efforts continue throughout the state and locally as more funds are granted to help Florida in its hurricane recovery efforts. And local high school football teams continue to reschedule games as they dodge unsafe weather conditions. All that and more tonight on First at 5.
Before we head out, let's have one last check on the weather. Nicole, I really enjoyed the cool air this morning leaving. What can I expect to the rest of the day and the rest of the week?
Well, it's going to be getting a little bit warmer today, but you should be seeing a little bit of a cool dip in the week later on. You can see as the temperatures today actually sitting higher in those mid 80s, but could be dropping a little bit tomorrow to those lower 80s, with the lows being in those lower 60s. But on Wednesday, we're going to take a drastic dip with that cold front coming in from the north on Wednesday afternoon. We could be seeing temperatures sitting in those low 70s and then drastically build up throughout the week. The lows on Thursday even being in those upper 40s, which we haven't seen here in a while. But for your football Saturday, we're going to be seeing those temperatures being a little bit warm for that football game. I would recommend maybe not wearing too much of a light jacket, even though you were experiencing a little bit of that cold earlier on in the week. Those short sleeves and shorts are going to fit just fine for your Saturday afternoon. But for that Wednesday I would definitely recommend a jacket outside. Maybe some pants might be really nice outside. But I would definitely recommend to enjoy this weather while we have it now.
Thank you for joining us for WUFT Midday. We're back here tomorrow for another edition. We now join Sports Scene with Steve Russell right here on Live RUF Radio and right here on WRUF-TV Channel 6.